If you want to live your best life, you have got to forgive. Forgiveness is a topic that we don't, like to talk about too much because for some of us, it's really, really a tough subject, but you have got to forgive. And this topic is inspired by a video that I watched. One of my friends, Katrina Moore, talked about Elizabeth Smart. And I'm not sure if you guys remember her, but it was all over the news years ago. She was kidnapped and she was sexually abused and held captive for some time. And so there was a video that Elizabeth Smart did that is going around the internet about forgiveness and about how she was able to forgive her captor. And she's married now with a family, living a great life. And so this is a topic that I actually want to talk about a while ago, but I just get so nervous about discussing this topic. And usually when I'm nervous about something, it's because somebody needs to hear it. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it today. If this is your first time watching one of my lives, my name is Camille Dangerfield. Thank you for stopping by. Please say hey in the comments. I'll know that you're here. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Delilah, Ashley, Ebony, Michael. Hey, guys. So forgiveness is required, and for a few reasons. Unforgiveness, keeping unforgiveness in your heart, it blocks your prayers from getting through. Okay? So, and a lot of us know this, and we still pick and choose when we want to forgive, depending on how mad we are, depending on what the offense is, depending on how close we are to the person. But it's not optional. And so I'm going to talk about how you can choose to forgive even when you don't feel like it. Because I had a circumstance where it was very tough for me to forgive, and it took me a while to get to that point. But before I talk about how you can forgive, I want to say good morning, Daniel. Good morning. It's forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that you stay in an abusive situation. If you're dealing with abuse, then you need to get some resources to get out of that situation. Forgiveness doesn't always mean that you restore a relationship. Sometimes you do have to walk away, but forgiveness does mean that you get to a place where you're not harboring a grudge, you're not holding any ill will, you're not sitting back waiting for them to get what they deserve. You don't feel some type of way. If you see that person, you're able to be cordial and not feel some type of way. So just wanted to say that first, to be clear. I'm not saying that if someone's abusing you, you should just be forgiving over and over and staying in that situation. But unforgiveness hurts you more than it hurts the other person. It hurts you because it's stressful, like physically it hurts you. When you harbor it, but harboring those types of emotions will eventually make you sick. It'll keep your stress levels up. Depending on how often you think about the situation, it can really break you down physically. But then also, like I said, spiritually, if you're praying for a breakthrough on something and you are holding on to unforgiveness, that can block your blessings. And so you have to decide, okay, this person, this situation has already hurt me in the past. Okay, there's nothing that I can do to go back and erase that. But am I going to continue to allow this situation to hurt me by preventing me from living my best life right now, today, and in the future? So just a few things that you can do to forgive even when it's tough. The first thing is just deciding to forgive, right? So like I said, I've been through this journey of forgiveness. And I can say now that I have forgiven the person and come to peace with the circumstance around it. And the first step is just deciding that I'm going to forgive. I did not feel like forgiving. I still did not agree. I still do not agree with what was said and done. But I had to decide, okay, I know that I'm supposed to forgive. I know that this unforgiveness is something that I have to get rid of. And so I just had to pray on that, and ask for supernatural assistance with forgiving, because in the natural, I don't know that I could have done it, to be quite honest. So it's just choosing to forgive, asking for help with it, praying on it, and then you have to actually start praying for that person. And praying a sincere prayer. Because a lot, we hear that cliche, like hurt people, but it's true. People are doing what they can with what they have. And so even though it's not an excuse to allow someone to, like I said, continue to abuse you, sometimes when people are doing things, it's because of things that were done to them. It's because of the environment they grew up in, the examples that they had. There's all sorts of reasons. Usually it has very little to do with you. It's not typically about you. And so you just have to, choose to forgive it. Choose to see that person as a flawed human, just as you're a flawed human, right? And because we all require forgiveness ourselves for things that we say and do, we have to extend that grace out. And so, but when you start to pray for somebody, it's hard to hold on to the unforgiveness. And it may take you 30 days. It may take you 60 days. It may take you 90 days. But over time, you'll start to feel a release. Another thing is making sure that when you have those thoughts, because you can work yourself up into a whole, frenzy, rehashing something that's happened, right? We've all done this. You have to catch yourself. When you're having those thoughts and you recognize yourself falling into that, downward spiral in your thought pattern, you have to catch yourself. And you can either, start praying. You can start, just put on some music, put on whatever you do to kind of realign yourself, get yourself reset. You can do that. You can start asking for help. God, help me to cleanse this thought. Help me to purify my heart. Help me not to dwell on this thing. If it's someone who, like for me, the person that I was having the problem with the forgiveness was a person who I know is mostly a good person and has done some good things for me and my family, but there was just this one particular circumstance that I was having an issue with forgiving. So for me, that meant focusing on the good that person had done. So like when I would have this negative thought and catch it, I'd say, okay, let me let this thought go. Let me think of, 1, 2, or 3 things that this person has done good. So just shifting your thoughts to a more positive place, if possible. But just being mindful of your thoughts and being mindful of not allowing yourself to stay stuck in that, because we get to choose what we think about. It doesn't always feel that way because, sometimes, especially if you haven't done the work to be more intentional with your thoughts and recognize and be self-aware, it can feel like you don't have control, like thoughts just pop into your head. And they kind of do, right? But you do get to choose how long you continue down a certain thought pattern. And so just becoming aware of that and choosing, like I said, even if you don't feel like it in the moment, I choose forgiveness. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to share. And like I said, before I started talking, I felt really, really nervous about doing this video. And usually that's because somebody really, really, really needs to hear it. So please share this video. If it was for you, I hope that you receive it. I hope that you can feel the place that it's coming from. And it's not, I'm not trying to preach. I'm not a preacher, but I've been through the forgiveness journey. And so that's just some of the things that I used, just choosing to forgive before I felt like it, understanding that holding on to the unforgiveness was going to hurt me longer than for a longer period of time, because it was going to stop me from getting my breakthroughs in other areas of my life. So I had to forgive, because as a Christian, I don't believe that forgiveness is a choice. You don't get to pick and choose. It's there. Okay. So choosing to forgive, asking for the help, praying for the help, and praying for the person, and being conscious of my thoughts. And so now it's been some time. I almost never have any, like thoughts of rehashing the circumstance. Every now and then it still does pop into my head. And then I'm able to pretty quickly, release that thought. But it is a process. It's a choice, and it takes some time, but you can do it with God's help. So choose forgiveness. And, now that now that once you've been through that process, then the next time it's time to forgive, I'd imagine it gets easier and easier each time, because it's not a one and done type of thing. You know, stuff happens. We do stuff, people do stuff, you know, but all right, so I'm done. I have a call I need to hop on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to watch my videos and you want to make sure that you catch the next one, there should be like 3 buttons, I think, on this side that you can click and turn on your notifications so you'll know the next time I'm live. And have a wonderful weekend, guys.